Have you ever wondered why two people can eat the same meal, but one feels energized while the other feels sluggish and foggy? The answer isn't just about calories. It's about how certain foods interact with your brain chemistry, hormones, and even the tiny mitochondria that power your cells. Here's the striking fact. Studies from Harvard Medical School show that the food you eat directly changes the way neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin are released. That means your plate can literally shift your mood, your focus, and even your long-term resilience against aging. Most people think healthy eating just means avoiding junk food. But according to Dr. Berg and decades of nutrition research, the real key is knowing which specific foods unlock metabolic flexibility, balance blood sugar, reduce inflammation, and support the brain-body connection. In other words, the healthiest foods are not just about avoiding disease. They're about enhancing performance, clarity, and longevity. Now, why is this so critical, especially as we age? Because after the age of 60, the brain naturally loses volume, muscles shrink faster, and insulin sensitivity often declines. But here's the empowering part. Neuroscience shows that the right foods can slow or even reverse these processes. Imagine sharpening your memory, stabilizing your mood, and fueling your muscles simply by what you put on your plate each day. In this episode, we're going to unpack 6 of the most powerful science-backed foods you need in your diet. One has been shown in research to profoundly impact your energy, focus, and health span. And I'll not only explain the why from a neuroscience and physiology perspective, but also give you practical tools to integrate them into your daily routine. By the end, you'll know how to build a plate that doesn't just keep you alive, it makes you thrive. And there's a surprising food at the end of this list that most people overlook, yet it could be the missing link to brain and body vitality. Stick with me because you don't want to miss it. Have you ever noticed how your ability to focus changes after certain meals? Some foods leave you mentally sharp, while others seem to drain your attention like a leaky faucet. One of the most powerful dietary levers for brain clarity is not caffeine or sugar, it's the type of fat you consume. Here's what the research shows. Your brain is nearly 60% fat. And one specific fat, DHA and omega-3 fatty acid, makes up a critical portion of the membranes around your neurons. Think of DHA like the insulation around electrical wiring. Without it, signals between brain cells slow down, become noisy, and even misfire. With it, communication is sharp, efficient, and resilient. A landmark study from the University of Oxford found that adults with higher blood levels of omega-3 fatty acids had significantly larger hippocampal volumes, the brain's memory hub. In other words, eating the right fats literally builds a bigger, stronger brain. Now, where do you get this? Not from processed oils, not from farm-raised fish, and not from grain-fed meat. The richest natural source is wild-caught fatty fish. Salmon, mackerel, sardines, anchovies. These are Dr. Berg's top recommendations for fueling the brain. But it's not just about cognition. Omega-3s south also regulate inflammation, which is at the root of nearly every chronic disease, from heart disease to arthritis. A review in JAMA showed that regular fish intake was linked to lower cardiovascular risk, partly because omega-3s south stabilize heart rhythm and improve blood vessel flexibility. Here's what's happening in your brain when you eat fatty fish. DHA integrates into your synapses the gaps between neurons, making them more fluid. This fluidity allows neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin to bind more effectively. The result? More stable mood, sharper focus, and even better sleep quality. So how do you apply this? Simple tool is to aim for 2 to 3 servings of wild-caught fatty fish per week. If you're not a fan of fish, a high-quality fish oil or algae-based supplement can help bridge the gap, but food sources should always come first, because they also provide selenium, vitamin D, and protein in the right ratios. Here's a practical example. Swap your usual chicken salad for a sardine salad with olive oil and lemon. Not only does this deliver omega-3 south, but the olive oil helps absorb fat-soluble nutrients while the acidity of the lemon improves iron uptake. That's nutritional synergy in action. One more surprising insight. Omega-3s also enhance neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire and learn. Animal studies from UCLA have shown that diets rich in DHA improved memory and reduced the negative effects of stress on the brain. Imagine being able to learn faster and recover from stress more effectively simply by adjusting your fat intake. But here's the catch. The typical Western diet is overloaded with omega-6 fatty acids from seed oils and processed foods. Compete with omega-3 stealth in your cell membranes, tipping the body into an inflammatory state. So it's not just about adding fish, it's also about cutting back on inflammatory oils like soybean, corn, and canola. Let's pause for a quick question. Have you noticed brain fog in the afternoon, especially after carb-heavy meals? That could be your neurons starving for the right fats. By reintroducing omega-3-rich fish, supply the very raw materials your brain needs to fire on all cylinders. So the takeaway is clear. Wild-caught fatty fish isn't just food, it's brain fuel. 2 to 3 servings per week could mean better focus, lower inflammation, stronger memory, and even a calmer mood. This is why Dr. Berg insists it should be a foundational food in your diet. Here's a surprising truth. The foods you eat don't just feed you, they also dictate how your liver and hormones behave. And one category of vegetables stands out as a true game changer for longevity, brain health, and even mood stability. Cruciferous vegetables, think broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, and cauliflower. Most people write them off as boring side dishes. But in reality, they are biochemical powerhouses that literally help your body detoxify itself. Here's the science. Cruciferous vegetables contain compounds called glucosinolates. When you chew or chop them, these compounds are broken down into bioactive molecules like sulforaphane and indalthricarbinol. These aren't just antioxidants, they actually switch on your body's internal detox systems. A famous study from Johns Hopkins showed that sulforaphane boosts the activity of phase. To liver detox enzymes, the same pathways your body uses to neutralize toxins, excess hormones, and even carcinogens. Imagine having a built-in cleanup crew, scrubbing away cellular waste before it can do damage. That's what these vegetables activate. Now let's talk hormones. As Dr. Berg emphasizes, many people over 40 or 50 struggle with estrogen dominance. Too much circulating estrogen compared to progesterone or testosterone. This can mean weight gain around the midsection, mood swings, and higher risk for certain cancers. Cruciferous vegetables contain indalthricarbinol, which helps the liver metabolize excess estrogen into safer, less active forms. Simple terms, they help rebalance your hormones naturally, but it doesn't stop there. What's happening in your brain when you eat these vegetables? Sulforaphane has been shown in animal studies to cross the blood-brain barrier, where it reduces neuroinflammation, the kind of chronic, low-grade inflammation linked to depression, brain fog, and even Alzheimer's disease. So here's the practical takeaway. 1 to 2 cups of cruciferous vegetables daily can make a measurable difference in detoxification, hormone balance, and brain health. But there's a key cooking detail. If you overcook them, you destroy those delicate compounds. Light steaming for 5 minutes or a quick saute in olive oil preserves the sulforaphane and keeps them digestible. That simple tool you can apply today. Add a small serving of broccoli sprouts to your lunch or dinner. Why sprouts? Because they contain up to 100 times more sulforaphane than mature broccoli. Just a handful a few times a week can significantly increase your detox and antioxidant capacity. Here's a relatable analogy. Think of cruciferous vegetables like the filters in your car. If you never change or clean them, gunk builds up, performance drops, and eventually the engine wears down. These vegetables are your body's way of regularly replacing those filters. Let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to age faster, skin dullness, slower recovery, lower energy, even though they eat healthy? One hidden reason could be a sluggish detox system. Without cruciferous vegetables, your liver is constantly behind schedule and toxins build up. Add them in consistently, and suddenly you're giving your body the tools it needs to reset, repair, and thrive. And here's where it gets empowering. These benefits are not just about disease prevention. They're about performance sharper thinking, more stable energy, and hormone balance that supports motivation and mood. So, don't underestimate the humble broccoli or kale. They are not just greens on a plate, they are hormone balancers, brain protectors, and detox activators. Dr. Berg calls them essential for a reason. And if this insight is helping you rethink your plate, consider subscribing theirs. More where this came from, and we're building a community committed to science-based health mastery. What if one of the most powerful brain-boosting nutrients has been hiding in plain sight, inside a food that many people have mistakenly feared for decades? That food is the humble egg. And not just any egg, pasture-raised eggs with deep, golden yolks, rich in choline and fat-soluble vitamins. For years, eggs were demonized because of cholesterol. But here's what the research shows. Dietary cholesterol has little impact on blood cholesterol for most people. In fact, eggs are among the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, and their biggest gift to your brain. Choline. Choline is the raw material your body uses to make acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that acts like the messenger system in your brain. It's the molecule responsible for memory, learning, and even the muscle contractions that let you move. When you forget where you placed your keys or struggle to recall a name, that's acetylcholine pathways at work. And here's the kicker. Most people are not getting enough choline in their diet. A study from the University of North Carolina found that nearly 90% of adults fall short of recommended choline intake. That's a massive gap in a nutrient directly tied to brain performance. Now here's where pasture-raised eggs shine. Just one yolk contains about 150 milligrams of choline. Add 2 or 3 eggs to your breakfast, and you're fueling your brain's acetylcholine system before your day even begins. But eggs don't stop there. They're also rich in lutein and zeaxanthin carotenoids that protect the retina and may slow age-related vision decline. And pasture-raised eggs in particular have higher omega-3 content and more vitamin D than conventional eggs. That means not only sharper brain function, but also better eye health, stronger immunity, and healthier hormone production. So what's happening in your brain when you consistently eat eggs? You're supplying the raw materials for faster synaptic firing. Imagine upgrading your internet from dial-up to high-speed fiber optic. That's the difference between a brain starved of choline and one that's well supplied. Here's a simple tool to apply. Make eggs a cornerstone of your week. 3 to 5 servings, ideally from pasture-raised sources, will keep your choline levels topped up. And don't skip the yolk. That's where the choline and fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K are found. Egg whites alone are incomplete. Fueled practical example. Instead of reaching for cereal or toast in the morning, scramble 3 eggs with spinach and mushrooms. Pair it with avocado for healthy fats and fiber. They'll stabilize your blood sugar, provide steady fuel for your neurons, and avoid the mid-morning energy crash so many people experience. Here's another surprising fact. In animal studies, maternal choline intake during pregnancy enhanced the offspring's memory and stress resilience throughout life. It means choline literally programs the brain's capacity to learn and adapt, even as adults. Regular intake of choline-rich foods supports neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself. Let me ask you, how would your day feel different if your memory was sharper and your focus more steady? Not sometimes, but consistently? That's the gift of nourishing the acetylcholine system with something as simple as eggs. Now, some people worry about cholesterol, but large-scale meta-analyses in journals like BMJ have shown no significant link between moderate egg consumption and cardiovascular disease in healthy individuals. In fact, eggs may improve HDL, the so-called good cholesterol. So let's reframe this. Pasture-raised eggs aren't a risk to your health. They're one of the most accessible brain-boosting tools you can add to your diet. Dr. Berg highlights them because they bring together high-quality protein, essential fats, and the critical nutrient choline, all in a natural, perfectly packaged form. The takeaway is clear. Eat the yolks. Choose pasture-raised and let this simple, affordable food do its work. Your brain, your memory, and your energy will thank you. Here's a surprising fact. Over 90% of your serotonin, the neurotransmitter that regulates mood, sleep, and even impulse control, is not made in your brain. It's made in your gut. That means your digestive system is not just a food processing tube. It's a chemical factory with a direct hotline to your brain. One of the most powerful ways to influence that system is through fermented foods. We're talking sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, miso, tempeh, yogurt, with live culture's foods rich in living microbes that nourish your gut microbiome. Here's what the research shows. A groundbreaking study published in Gastroenterology found that women who ate fermented yogurt daily for 4 weeks had measurable changes in brain activity on MRI scans, especially in regions involved in emotion regulation. Think about that. Changing what you eat literally changed their brains. So what's happening here? Fermented foods are packed with probiotics, beneficial bacteria that support microbial diversity in your gut. A diverse microbiome produces more short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which reduce gut inflammation and strengthen the blood-brain barrier. These molecules act like peacekeepers, calming immune overactivity and promoting clear communication. Between gut and brain, here's a relatable analogy. Imagine your gut as a busy city. If it's filled with criminals' harmful bacteria, the streets are chaotic, unsafe, and stressful. But when you introduce more police officers and community leaders, probiotics from fermented foods, order is restored, communication improves, and the city thrives. Dr. Berg often emphasizes that gut health is the hidden foundation of fat metabolism, mood stability, and immune strength. And fermented foods are one of the simplest, most accessible tools to support that foundation. Now let's make it practical. A simple tool is to add 1 small serving of fermented food daily. It could mean a tablespoon of sauerkraut with dinner, a half cup of kefir in the morning, or a small side of kimchi with your lunch. Consistency matters more than quantity. Here's a personal experiment you can try. Eat a sugar-heavy snack in the afternoon and notice your mood 2 hours later. Then, on another day, replace that snack with a serving of Greek yogurt topped with a handful of berries. You'll likely find your energy steadier and your mood calmer. That's the gut-brain connection in real time. One more layer. Fermented foods may also help with stress resilience. A study from the University of Cork found that participants consuming probiotic-rich foods reported lower anxiety and stress scores compared to controls. This suggests that your gut bacteria can act like a buffer, protecting your nervous system against daily stressors. So let me ask you, something as simple as adding kimchi or kefir could make you less reactive, more focused, and more emotionally balanced. Why wouldn't you make it part of your plate? And if this insight is hitting home, if you're realizing your gut is more powerful than you thought, consider subscribing. We're building a community here, focused on neuroscience-based nutrition, and I don't want you to miss the next deep dive. Now, a quick note of caution. Not all fermented foods are created equal. Pick options without added sugars or artificial flavors. Look for live and active cultures on the label. And if you're new to fermentation, start small. Too much too fast can cause digestive discomfort as your microbiome adjusts. Takeaway is simple. Your gut is the gateway to your brain. By adding just a little fermented food daily, you're not just feeding yourself. You're feeding the ecosystem that shapes your mood, your focus, and your overall resilience. If I asked you where our ancestors got their vitamins and minerals before supplements existed, what would you guess? The answer's simple. They got them from food. But not just the muscle meat we're used to today. They prized the organ meats. Liver, heart, kidney, because these were nature's original multivitamins. And here's the truth. Most people today are deficient in critical micronutrients like vitamin A, B12, iron, and zinc. Yet, all of these are abundantly concentrated in organ meats, especially when sourced from grass-fed animals. Let's start with the star. Beef liver. Just 3 ounces provide over 1,000% of your daily vitamin A needs, alongside a huge dose of bioavailable iron and B vitamins. Unlike synthetic supplements, these nutrients come in forms your body can immediately use. For example, the iron in liver is heme iron, the most absorbable form, directly feeding your red blood cells and oxygen delivery system. Here's why this matters for your brain. Oxygen is your neurons' fuel. When iron levels are low, your brain struggles with fatigue, poor concentration, and even depression. Studies in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition show that iron deficiency is strongly linked to reduced cognitive performance, even in adults who don't meet the criteria for anemia. Now, let's look at vitamin B12, also abundant in liver and heart. B12 is critical for myelin, the insulation around your neurons. Without it, communication between brain cells slows, like static on a phone line. Low B12 has been linked to memory loss, mood disturbances, and increased risk of dementia. Just one small serving of liver can provide far more B12 than most people get in a week. Another hidden gem in organ meats is CoQ10, especially high in heart tissue. CoQ10 is like the spark plug for your mitochondria, the power plants inside every cell. Supplement companies market CoQ10 for energy and heart health, but nature put it right into the foods we evolved to eat. So what's the practical application here? You don't need to eat organs daily, and you don't need large amounts. Two small servings per week, about 3 to 4 ounces, is enough to restore nutrient reserves and support brain and body function. If the idea of eating liver straight isn't appealing, here's a simple tool. Blend small amounts into ground beef for meatballs or chili. You won't taste it, but you'll get the benefits. There are also high-quality desiccated organ supplements made from freeze-dried, grass-fed sources for those who want convenience. Here's a relatable analogy. Think of organ meats as concentrated batteries. Muscle meat is like a steady AA battery, good energy, useful fuel, but liver and heart are like high-capacity, rechargeable batteries packed with nutrients that recharge your entire system. Now, let me ask you, have you ever felt chronically tired, foggy, or unmotivated despite eating what seems like a healthy diet? That could be hidden nutrient deficiencies. And organ meats are one of the fastest ways to restore those missing pieces. And here's the neuroscience angle. Nutrients from organ meats don't just prevent disease, they actively enhance performance. Vitamin A regulates gene expression and brain development. Iron and B12 fuel neurotransmitter synthesis. CoQ10 powers neuronal mitochondria. This is precision nutrition at its most fundamental level. It's no wonder Dr. Berg highlights organ meats as irreplaceable. They bridge the gap between modern deficiencies and ancestral nutrition. The takeaway is this: you don't need fancy pills or exotic powders to fuel your body. Sometimes the most powerful solution is the one our ancestors already knew: small amounts of organ meats. Eaten weekly can optimize your brain, protect your heart, and restore your energy at the deepest cellular level. Here's a question. Can something as simple as eating a handful of berries every day actually slow down brain aging? Science says yes. Berries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries are more than colorful snacks. They're loaded with polyphenols, especially anthocyanins, which give them their deep colors. These compounds act as antioxidants, but they also do something far more profound. They enhance blood flow to the brain and reduce oxidative stress at the cellular level. A study published in Annals of Neurology followed older adults over 2 decades and found that those who ate more blueberries and strawberries had significantly slower rates of cognitive decline. In simple terms, berries helped keep their brains younger, longer. Here's what's happening in your brain when you eat berries. Anthocyanins accumulate in the hippocampus, the memory and learning center, where they reduce inflammation and improve neuronal signaling. Think of it like upgrading the wiring in your memory circuits so they fire faster and more cleanly. And this isn't just about memory. Berries also support vascular health. The polyphenols improve nitric oxide production, which relaxes blood vessels and enhances circulation. That means more oxygen and nutrients delivered to your muscles during exercise, more fuel delivered to your neurons during problem solving or deep focus. Here's a practical tool. Aim for 1 cup of mixed berries daily. Rotate between blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries to get a broad spectrum of polyphenols. Fresh or frozen both work. Freezing does not significantly reduce their antioxidant content. Want an easy way to apply this? Add a handful of frozen blueberries to a morning smoothie, or toss fresh raspberries onto a salad. Pair them with protein or healthy fats to blunt blood sugar spikes and sustain energy. Let me ask you, have you ever noticed how your focus drops after a heavy, sugary snack? Contrast that with the stable energy you feel when you combine protein with fiber-rich berries. That's not just calories, that's your metabolism and brain chemistry. Responding to the type of fuel you give it, here's another fascinating study. Research from Tufts University showed that older adults who consumed blueberries daily for 12 weeks improved memory scores and reduced depressive symptoms compared to controls. In other words, berries didn't just preserve the brain. They actively enhanced mood and cognition. And here's the kicker. Berries may even influence neuroplasticity. Animal research has found that berry-rich diets upregulate BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, protein that acts like fertilizer for neurons, stimulating growth and resilience. Imagine giving your brain the tools to not only resist decline, but to keep adapting and rewiring. So, the next time you see a bowl of blueberries, don't just think of them as dessert. Think of them as brain protectors, vascular supporters, and longevity allies. Now, a quick word of caution. Fruit juices or sweetened berry products don't deliver the same benefits. The fiber in whole berries slows glucose absorption and feeds beneficial gut bacteria. Stick with whole forms fresh, frozen, or freeze-dried. If this insight resonates, drop a comment below. What's your favorite berry? And how do you like to enjoy it? Your ideas may inspire someone else in our community to make the shift toward healthier choices. The takeaway is clear. One small daily habit, a cup of berries, can sharpen your memory, protect your brain, support your heart, and even brighten your mood. That's why Dr. Berg highlights them as an essential part of a performance-driven, longevity-focused diet. We've covered a lot of ground. And if you've stayed with me through this journey, you now know that the foods you put on your plate aren't just calories, they are signals. They tell your brain how to think, your body how to age, and your cells how much energy they can produce. Let's briefly recap. We started with wild-caught fatty fish, rich in omega-3 South, the very fats that make up your brain's cell membranes. 2 to 3 servings a week fuel sharper focus, lower inflammation, and even greater neuroplasticity. Then we explored cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, which activate your liver's detox pathways and help balance hormones. 1 to 2 cups daily can reduce toxic load, stabilize mood, and even protect your brain from inflammation. Next came pasture-raised eggs, one of the richest sources of choline, the building block of acetylcholine, your memory and learning neurotransmitter. Just a few servings weekly supply your brain with the raw materials it needs to stay sharp. From there, we looked at fermented foods, which feed your gut microbiome and, in turn, shape your mood and resilience. 1 small daily serving strengthens your gut-brain axis, keeping stress lower and emotional balance higher. We also highlighted grass-fed organ meats, nature's multivitamin. Just 1 small serving a week delivers heme iron, B12, vitamin A, and COQ10 nutrients that power your neurons and protect your mitochondria. And finally, we uncovered the secret of berries' anthocyanin, rich protectors of memory and vascular health. A simple daily cup can slow brain aging, improve circulation, and even elevate your mood. Now, why does this matter, especially after the age of 60? Because neuroscience and physiology both show that aging is not just about time passing. It's about how resilient your neurons, your mitochondria, and your hormones remain. These 6 foods work on the deepest systems of your body. They stabilize energy, balance hormones, improve neurotransmitter function, and protect against oxidative stress. In other words, they don't just keep you alive, they help you thrive. They support not only longevity, but also health span, the number of years you live with clarity, strength, and purpose. So here's my challenge to you. Starting this week, pick one of these foods and commit to making it a regular part of your routine. Maybe it's swapping a chicken salad for wild-caught sardines. Maybe it's adding a handful of blueberries to your morning.
Ow.
Maybe it's daring to try a few ounces of grass-fed liver for the first time. Whatever you choose, make it practical, consistent, and sustainable. Because here's the truth. Change doesn't happen in theory. It happens in the kitchen, on the plate, in the habits you repeat day after day. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. We're building a community here of people dedicated to mastering their biology with science-based tools. Today's deep dive gave you new insight. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 6 foods are you most excited to try, or which is already a staple in your life? If you found this valuable, consider liking this video, sharing it with a friend, and subscribing. Each week we translate cutting-edge neuroscience and nutrition into practical tools for living sharper, longer, and healthier. At the end of the day, the choices you make at the table shape the quality of your mind, your body, and your years. So choose wisely. Fuel your brain, protect your body. And remember, the healthiest foods aren't just keeping you alive. They're building the future version of you